And one thing was coming up from Swati's side also. I do not know, but would it be possible, like even for moving forward, uh, like yeah, I mean, so starting early for you is it possible?
I already started 6 o'clock. Before
Yeah.
that, it will be a bit difficult for me to, start earlier than that.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep it like this. So what is how are we going like so from your 6 to your 7:30 we have SQL class or from your 6 to uh,
See,
8?
from if you're considering Indian Standard Time, then 6 to 8 in the morning
Hmm.
we have SQL, and 8 to 9 we have Excel.
Yeah, 6 to 8 and 8 to 9, right?
Yes.
Hmm. Hmm. I think we will have to cut down 30 minutes on SQL actually because it gets little late here, and so it towards the end it will increase number of classes a little bit by 30 minutes if we cut down, but
Yeah, that will reduce 1 hour for every week.
yeah. So every week is like uh 1 hour for every week is like uh so
So it's like we have 4 hours. Four
in a
hours.
week,
Yeah.
a
So
week,
it will be like 3 hours in a week.
3 hours in a
That
week, which is
that will
which is
keep on postponing.
no
Anyway,
so
we'll decide it offline because right now we will not waste time of Excel here. Okay.
mhm. Okay,
We can decide it on phone, or we need to talk
okay,
together.
okay,
Right.
okay,
Fine.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
Hmm. So let me just go through what we had discussed, and then we will start with the new topics of Excel. So we have talked about environment of Excel. Then there were different autofill options. We have talked about developing a series of numbers,
Mhm.
series of weeks, series of alphabets we have used, and then customized series. We have this option we have done. This demo we have done twice and thrice, so that developing a series of values. For
Mhm.
example, if I'm typing A, I'm typing B, it should develop a series of alphabets, which was not possible earlier. Okay, so this custom series option we have discussed. Then there is something called as ranges,
Mhm.
named ranges. That maybe I'll start with this topic, and then we
Mhm.
will start with the new topics. Okay, so
Okay,
I'll just give you overview of named ranges, and then we will continue.
okay.
Sorry. Okay. Now, suppose I have a range of values here. Okay. You know that we can give a name to the cell. Where do we give a name to a cell? Do you remember?
Name to a cell. How do we name a cell? No, I don't know.
Do you know this thing? It is called as this part. It is called as name box.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
What does a name box contain?
That contains the cell number,
Cell address.
cell
This
address. Okay.
contains cell address. What is
Mhm.
this black cell? What is it called as?
Mm, not do not remember. Sorry.
It is called as active cell. It is called as
Active cell.
active cell. It's like a
Okay.
cursor in Word document, which tells you
Okay.
the current work area in which cell you are right now. So this active cell address is given in this name box. For example, H13. What does H13 means? H13 means currently I am in H column, and in H column I am on 13th row.
Mhm.
This is called as name box. So right now I'm in A1 cell and I want to go somewhere to AA1102. Okay, so instead of scrolling there, what I can do is I can go to the name box and here I can type AA102 or 101, whatever, and it will directly take me to that particular cell address.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in a huge Excel sheet, I do not have to scroll using the arrow keys. I can take help of the name box and give the cell address there.
Mm-hmm.
This is called as name box. Now, how we can further take help of this name box? Suppose right now I am here and I have some data like let's say Jan and Feb. Okay, so I have the sale of January and sale of February, right? Suppose it is like this. Okay, just a minute. Manan, hello, hello.
I was there actually. I was muted. Sorry.
Okay, just a minute.
Sure, sure.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I have sale of January, suppose, and I have sale of February, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything, the values doesn't matter right now. Fine. Now I am in sheet 1. Can you see here right now? I am in sheet 1. The data is in sheet 1 and I want to refer to this data in, let's say, sheet 3. Okay. So what I have to do is I have to give the cell references, right? And what is my cell reference? From this value to this value. That is what? That is starting from C4 to
C8.
C8, correct. And similarly, starting from D4 to D8 in for February, right? So what I do here is, if I go to sheet 3, I'll have to explicitly give the cell references for calculation. Okay. For
Mm-hmm.
example, don't bother about the formula right now. Later on, we are going to study formulas. So just imagine that I want to calculate sum of January and February both. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm passing here the parameters like for sum, I go to sheet 1 and I manually select this entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
And for February, I manually select this entire thing and then I find out whatever is the value. Okay, it may be anything. Okay, now this this particular value I required in multiple sheets at multiple places or in the same sheet as well, right? So every time I have to go to sheet 1, select this much and then use it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But then right now it is still fine because there are only 4 to 5 numbers. Imagine if there are 1000 rows. So every time I have to select that range of 1000 rows, isn't it? And
Mm-hmm.
this range I require 100 times in a calculation.
Mm-hmm.
So all 1000 rows, 100 times I have to repeat selection. Instead of that, what I can do is I can give a name to this entire range,
Mm-hmm.
and that is what is called as a named range.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and how do you do that? You first select a range, you go to the name box, you provide the name for that range, and then you use it in the calculation. So
Mm-hmm.
this was the last topic that we had discussed in our last session. So how you can do it? First of all, you select a range. Then you go to the name box and you give a name to that particular range. Okay, so I'll give a name to this range saying, let's say Jan or January. Fine, and press enter. Right. So as you can see, yes. So as you can see, this January. I have given a name here, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to February. Okay, so I'll go to February. I'll select this entire February. Now I'll come back to the name box and now I'm going to give another name range. Let's say it is February and press enter. Fine. Now what has happened? Let us understand. Now it has created the name ranges for both of them. For example, if here, can you see? I have a name range here like January. If I click on this January, it will directly take me to that range.
Mhm.
If I click on February, it will take me to this particular range,
Mhm.
right? I may be anywhere, not only, let's say, suppose I am here, and from being here, I want to go to that particular January, February values. So, what I can do is I can go here and find out for February. It will jump to that,
Mhm.
getting it. Not only from this sheet, suppose I am in sheet 2 or I am in sheet 3, anywhere, I can simply go to that range and it will go to sheet 1's that range.
Mhm.
Fine. Now, what is the other advantage? The other advantage is I can take help of these name ranges in calculation also. For example, if I want to find out sum of both the January and February, I can simply say, can you see name range January has come.
Mhm.
So instead of selecting the range, I can use the name of that range. So January, comma, February, right?
Mhm.
It will come up with whatever value it is. So we are not even in sheet 1. From sheet 2, it is able to identify that value.
Mhm.
So this way we can take help of the named ranges. There are different name ranges that are available, which can be used for it. Okay. Where do you see them? See if you can see this. In formula tab, there is defined names. And in this, you will find these name ranges. Okay. So what all things you will find in it? Define name. You can manually create a name range from here. You
Mhm.
can use it in formula from here, or
Mhm.
you can create it from the selection also. So all these name ranges, can you see they are all available here
Right.
for this. So you can edit, delete, or you can have a new range from here. And this is the range, that selection that it is showing you where it
Mhm.
is. See, it is showing you where it is selected from. Okay.
Okay.
So that's how that name range is are used. This is called as the topic of name range. So this is what we have discussed earlier. Fine. Now we are going to go ahead and study something called as we are going to talk about something called as freeze panes. Okay. Now what is this concept of freeze panes? Is let's say I have this big table. Fine. I know it is not that big, but let's say it's a sample data for us. Fine. And it has got some columns and many rows in it. Fine. Now, as and when I scroll down, suppose like this, as and when I scroll down, what is happening is I'm losing the column headings, isn't it? So eventually, when I keep on entering the data, I I simply cannot understand. Let's say, for example, these numbers. Which one is food, which one is liquid, which one is others? I'm not able to recollect. So every time for entering the data, I have to scroll up and see. Okay.
Mm.
So to retain the column headings, I can freeze the column rows or records. So either I can freeze the entire record or I can freeze the columns. Right. So where is that option? We will check out.
Yes. View.
In this option is present in view. In
Mm-hmm.
view, there is an option called as freeze pens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you can use this option, and then how we can use it, like freeze pens. And there are some options regarding freeze pens. By default, there is one option called as freeze top row. So
Mm-hmm.
if I use this option, freeze top row, so can you see a black line has come here? That's the separator that comes. So
Mm-hmm.
now if I keep on scrolling down, so the advantage is this row doesn't get scrolled. Okay, so it remains with me. So no matter how many times I'm scrolling up or down, I can still have column headings
Mm-hmm.
with me. So that is an advantage. Now I do not get confused like which one is plastic, which one is food, and which one is liquid. Okay, so this is freezing top row. Similarly, I can say unfreeze and I can say freeze first column. So now when I click on freeze first column, this entire column gets freezed. Okay. So now if I'm scrolling horizontally, if I'm scrolling horizontally, I do not lose the column.
Right.
So a column is fulfilled. So well is this most useful is, suppose right now it has got cell date, but consider that this column has employee number, student number, customer number, or for that matter it has got names, okay, product names, or maybe it has got customer names. So the names will remain as it is, and the rest of information can be scrolled.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll come to know that against which name I'm doing the entries.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. So that is freeze panes. That is uh, top row and first column. I'll unfreeze it. What if I want to freeze in between columns and rows? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is you put your active cell or you highlight your particular data, whatever you want. If at all I am clicking here, or if this is my active cell, then a column before that will be freezed.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. So if I am in B, then A will be freezed. So a column to the left will be freezed. That is the logic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's say I want to freeze this one. So my selection is B2. This is my selection. My selection is B2 and I am saying freeze pens. I will not choose top row or first column. I will say freeze pens.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm saying freeze pens, let us see what difference has happened. Now the black line has come for column A as well as for row 1. Okay.
Right.
So now I'm going to scroll down first. So what is the advantage here I'm getting? The first row gets freezed. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to scroll horizontally, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So the row also gets freezed and the column also gets freezed, both, because my current selection was this cell.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. So it's freezed both. So if you want to freeze in between values, then you can go for such selections.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that was about the options, top row, first column, and freeze panes. So if I want to freeze first two columns, then which column I should choose?
Fourth. No,
No.
you mean to say first column?
If I want to freeze first two columns, then which column I should select for the cell
C.
freeze option? Right.
C.
I want to C. That is the city column I will choose, isn't it? And then
Mm-hmm.
I'll say freeze panes. So now it will freeze first two columns, and then of course, because I have chosen the second row, it will also freeze the first row.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. So and then later on I can just say unfreeze panes to remove the all freeze values. Okay. So this is what the freeze panes option is all about. Now we have done with images, spanning documents. Okay. Now let us talk about quick calculations. Suppose I have some numbers with me. Okay. Let's say something of this sort. Okay. And I want to use a sum of all of it. When I go to home, as you can see here, where is that option? Yes, this is the option, AutoSum. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
AutoSum option is there. Fine. Now this AutoSum option, it helps me to quickly sum the numerical data, right? So how do I do that? Is for AutoSum, first of all, you select the range, okay, and go to home. Inside home there is AutoSum. This is the option, right? Now which should be the active cell? The active cell should be immediately below the range. Okay, so I will put my active cell here, and then I'll only click on AutoSum. Can you see, by default it has taken the immediate range of numbers,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll press enter. Done.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the quick summation we can say. Now, if you have understood this, I'm going to ask you, what will happen if there are such values? 2, 3, then there are no values, then 99 and 65. Now I am placing my active cell here and I'm going to click on AutoSum. What it will do?
Throw an error.
Let's check out. Got it? What it is doing? It only takes continuous range. It is not responsible for the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
So it is only going to consider what values? These two values right now.
Mm-hmm.
That is what AutoSum is. AutoSum of continuous range.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. So by default, if I click here, AutoSum, done. So it is going giving me sum. By default, it only finds sum, but you can have auto average, auto count, auto max, auto mean also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For example, I can say auto count. So if I'm using auto count, again the same thing. The concept doesn't change. It is consider the continuous range. Okay. But instead of sum, this time it will count.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this option auto sum will help me to find out auto function of continuous ranges.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it had any text value in between, then like for example ABC is a text value between this continuous range, and if I'm saying auto sum, then it is smart enough to understand which is the text and date. So this time it is only going to consider these two.
Mm-hmm.
right? So continuous range of numbers, as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the option called as AutoSum that we just discussed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, probably, yeah. Now we will start with functions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, writing simple functions. So we will be writing a lot of functions in this uh, case. In Excel, it's all about formulas and functions. Okay. So now we are going to talk about the main topic, that is uh, writing functions. So the first type of function that we are going to write is sum function. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very basic function that that all of us need every time, right? So the problem of AutoSum was what? I could only sum continuous ranges. What
Mm-hmm.
if I want to sum different ranges from different worksheets, etc.? Okay, so in that case, I should explicitly use my own function called as sum function. Okay, so now I'm manually going to write sum function. So let us go to our that sheet. Is that- Yes, this sheet. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now what I'm doing here is I'm going to write a function. Do you see that just beside name box there is something called as formula bar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this thing is called as a formula bar. So there are different ways by which you can insert a function or a formula in your Excel sheet. That is, you can write it here in the formula bar or in the insert clause. See here, I'm just highlighting it here. Here, insert tab.
Mm-hmm.
In the insert tab, you will see that formula. In formulas tab, there is insert function option. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so formulas and insert. So you can use that option. So either way, either you can use formula, write it here, or you can go to formulas and you can use this option as insert function. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we will see both ways how we can do or how we can insert function using both. So let us do that. I want to write a sum. I have two numbers here. One is 5 and one is 2. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so 5 is, I'm going to highlight it. Here is 5 and here is 2. Okay, and this is the place where I want to display my result.
Mm-hmm.
I This is not good color. Probably here I want to display the result. Okay, so this is result. Fine. So I want to display the result of this cell and this cell into this cell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a formula always begins with equal to in Excel. Please remember this, because every time we are going to write formula, every time we need to use equal to symbol. Okay. So this is very important. It says that formula in Excel, it begins with what?
Equal to.
Begins with, right. It begins with equal to. Okay. So it begins with equal to symbol. Now, either I can write equal to something something and then start a formula, or I can go to formulas and insert function. Also, we have a shortcut here. Can you see this button? This is called as insert function. Okay. So from here also I can insert a formula. So
Mm-hmm.
later on, once we get acquainted with writing formulas, we will directly type a formula. But
Mm-hmm.
now that we do not know how to write a formula, we'll take help of Excel. Okay.
Mhm.
So we will insert a function. So how we will insert a function? Where do you want to print a formula? You want to print a formula in this cell. So first you need to take your cursor here. This should be your active cell.
Mhm.
Okay. So J7, right now J7 is my active cell because I want to print the formula here.
Mhm.
So go to J7 and then go to insert function. Now the moment I click on insert function, a dialog box will appear.
Mhm.
What will be there? Whatever functions Excel provide, entire list is present in this. Okay.
Mhm.
So there are different categories of functions that are available. If you can see this, financial, date, time, statistical, maths, text, logical, etc., etc. A lot of categories are there, right? So from this category, you can choose, right? For example, right now I am using category of some kind of function. Let's say um, most recently used functions. Most recently means as and when I go on typing, it comes to me some function.
Mhm.
Okay. So the moment I choose any function and it gives a little help about that function. Can you see it here?
Mhm.
Whenever I choose any function, it gives a little help about that function to you. What is this help? It tells you about what that function actually does.
Mhm.
Okay. So for example here, I'm choosing sum. The moment I choose sum, I get a help here, like this function adds number to whatever range you have selected, and it also tells you how to use that function. Okay.
Mhm.
So means whenever you are using a function, you can take help of this to understand how that function behaves.
Mhm.
Okay. So I will use this function. Let us say okay. Now you will come across another dialog box. Okay. What is it? It tells you sum, and then it is asking me about number 1, number 2, number 3, and the list goes on.
Mhm.
Fine. So add what numbers in the range. What I need to do here is I need to select the cell that I want to add. So can you see this red button? Okay.
Mhm.
What is this red button? This is a collapsible button. When I click on it, the window will be minimized. Otherwise, the window will be restored. So I'll click on it and I'll select cell 1. So it will get the address of it. I'll come back to this window, and for second number, I'll click on it again and I'll go to this. Now I can go on adding different numbers. The moment I click, I can keep on adding multiple numbers. So as you can see, it takes the values and immediately it prints the result there itself.
Mhm.
Right? So, okay. Now I'll click on OK and I get the result here. Right? And on its own, it has generated a formula here. I want you to notice the formula. See, I could have directly typed like this, whatever you are looking at here. Okay,
Mhm.
I could have directly typed like this also.
Mhm.
But then right now we are not familiar with writing formulas, so we have gone through the window. So whatever values it has generated, or the formula that it has generated is equal to sum of h3 comma l3. h3 is 5 and l3 is 2. Fine.
Mhm.
So what we have studied right now is, this is what we have talked about right now. Writing formula in the same sheet.
Mhm.
Now what do you mean by in the same sheet? Same sheet in the sense that the values were in sheet 1 and the result was also in sheet 1. Right? Now what we are going to talk
Right.
about is, the values are in sheet 1 but the result is in sheet 2.
Mhm.
Okay. So our next goal would be writing formulas in different sheet. Okay, so now I'm going to keep the values 5 and 2 in the same sheet, but now I'm going to write formula in sheet 2. Okay, so imagine that this sheet 1 is the actual data and sheet 2 is where the results are displayed. Fine.
Mhm.
So let's go to sheet 2, and here I'm going to print the result here. So result will be here. So where I'm going to print the result? I'm going to print the result in this particular cell. Which is the cell? The cell is H6. Okay.
Mhm.
So can you please tell me which option I should use? Where should I go to insert a formula?
In the formula bar.
Yes, in the formula bar, I can go to insert function, or I can go to formulas and I can choose this option of insert function, right?
Yeah.
Insert function. Then I need to choose whatever function I want, right? So I'll choose some function. When I choose some function, the first the first one is first number. Is there any number in this sheet? No. So I need to go to the previous sheet to get the numbers. So I'll click here and I'll go to sheet 1 and I'll choose 5 from here. Now I'll go to number 2 and choose 2 from here. Go to sheet 1 and L3 from here, right?
Mhm.
Oh, sorry, it went to the same sheet. Sheet 1, L3, right? 7. Okay, correct. Now the result is in sheet 2.
Mhm.
See, the result 7 is in sheet 2. Now I want you to focus on this formula. I'll copy it in notepad so that we'll be able to see it properly.
Mhm.
Okay, this is the formula that it generated. See, earlier I'll copy the formula here also. In previous case, what happened was, see, sum of H3 comma L3, that was the formula that got generated in previous case. But in this case, it is saying sheet 1 H3, sheet 1 L3. Why is it saying so? Can you tell me?
I think no, no. I'm not getting a clue.
See, H3 and L3, are they present in this sheet, sheet 2?
No.
Where are they? They are present in sheet 1, isn't it?
Mhm.
So this H3 and L3, they are present in sheet 1 and our formula is being written in sheet 2.
Mhm.
So the cell references, it is saying sheet 1's H3 and sheet 1's L3.
Mhm.
Okay, so the data that is coming is not from this sheet. The data that is coming is from sheet 1 sheet.
Mhm.
So that is what we are talking about. That you can write a formula which is in one sheet and the data is in one sheet and the formula is written in another sheet. That is also possible.
Mhm.
And one more thing, the third part is you can even have writing formulas in different work books. Even that is possible. Okay. See, the capacity of Excel, that the facilities that it is providing is, this is a very basic thing, that result is in one sheet and data is also in one sheet. The second thing is data is in one sheet and the result is in some other sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And the third thing is the data is in one workbook, that is in one file, and the result is completely in some other workbook.
Mm-hmm.
That is also possible. Okay, but for that there is one prerequisite, that both the files needs to be saved. They needs to be saved, otherwise the formula will not get generated. I'll save it on desktop. Fine. So both the files are saved. Now what I'm going to do is, there are two files. One is practice data file and the other one is book one file. Fine. Now I'm going to write a result in practice data. So the result will be there in practice data, but it is taking values from book one file. Fine. So I'll say equal to sum, and okay, we are using some other method, right? Insert sum function. For number one, what I'm going to choose? I'm going to choose from another file, that is book one sheet 5. Okay, and then I'm going to go to K3, that is come back to practice data, and from here I'll go to book one, book one's sheet 1, and from sheet 1 L3, so 7. Okay, so in practice data I have got this result.
So, okay.
So look at this result. Right now, I'll just move this. I'll move this. Yes. Right now I'm where? I'm in practice data, isn't it? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm completely in different file altogether. So I'm in practice data, and the result that I'm getting is from book one. That is a different file altogether. Okay. So book one dot sheet one dot h3. That means book one's sheet 1 H3, book one's sheet 1's L3.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Now tell me, if at all I make changes to book 1, will they be reflected to practice data or not?
No.
Let's find out. I'm going to make this 10. So here the result got generated. Fine. And now let's go to practice data and check. What happened? It does changes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's not a copy. The formula has a link to the previous Excel sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so see, I'll give you a real life example. As I have a data, I'll write it in a notepad file. Okay, the example is like, there is book one, and what all things book one has? Book one has sale of January, then sale of February, and sale of March, like this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then I have got book two. And what is there in book 2? Book 2 has, let's say, total cell. Total cell is there in book 2. Fine. Now, this total cell is, how is it calculated? The total cell is calculated as Jan plus Feb plus March. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this Jan, Feb, March, it is coming from where? It is coming from book one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever the total sale is calculated, the total sale is calculated based on the worksheets of book one.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I make changes to the values from book one, the total sale also will get changed.
Mm-hmm.
So it has got links to this particular file because the formula uses those references.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is what you can write in the same sheet, the formula, or the formula can span multiple sheets, or a formula can also be written based on multiple files or workbooks.
Right.
Okay, so this is what we have talked about, writing formulas in same sheet, and multiple files. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was about some function that we have seen. Similarly, there are some other functions like aggregate functions, different aggregate functions. So let's say
We'll do
I
next
want,
class.
yeah, I'll just sum it up.
Okay.
It won't take much time. It's just like some, there are some other functions. That's it. For example, here I want to display the highest value from liquid.
Mm-hmm.
So the function, now I'm not going to choose from this. I'm going to write. Okay. That was the first method. Till now, what we were doing, we were selecting and the dialog box was coming and then we were choosing, right? Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to directly write. So how do you write a formula?
Equal
I
to,
told you, yes,
equal to in the.
it begins with equal to, right? So I'll write a formula using equal to. See, if you can see, whatever thing I'm typing here, it gets reflected here.
Mm-hmm.
That is in the formula bar. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, you can write it here or you can write it here. It's going to get applied to that part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. So I'm going to say equal to, and then after equal to, see, the moment I start typing, it gives me help of the functions. So these are all the functions that are available with M, starting with MA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so max is the function. The moment I put a bracket, it is very eager to help. You know, Microsoft products are very user friendly. So the
Mm-hmm.
moment I type, I give bracket, it tells you how to use that formula.
Mm-hmm.
So it is telling you to apply number. That means give aggregates. So what I'm going to do is max of what? I have to give some range to it, right? So I'm
So.
choosing a range.
Mm-hmm.
So I choose a range like this.
Mm-hmm.
Or I, instead of choosing such a big range, actually I could have created what? Name range for it.
My
So
laptop.
complete the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
So what it is? Max of this range and
Mm-hmm.
press enter. Press
Okay.
enter. So it will give you the value, the maximum value of it. Okay. So equal to max of this value.
Okay.
Suppose this much value I want and then enter. So this is the maximum value from the range. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. So I'll stop here for the day.
Okay.